She said you're good. We welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And by our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and check them out at www.crowdplayapp.com for details. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
On smoke, it's all about the cash flow. So come on and get this money, man. Getting paper, and we always do it major on the stroll, you know it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Game Winning Drive, episode 39 is up here tonight. As always, I'm with my boys, Brant, Ryan, and Alex. We're here to talk about football, get ready for the draft next week. We're going to hit up on a lot of things that's happened, rules being passed today. The link between the Niners and Trey Lance, and we're going to talk about the retirements of Jordan Reed and Alex Smith, something that Alex would not want to talk about, so we'll just get him out. Other than that, we're also going to recap our NFL draft mock, go through all of it with you guys, see who slid, who should be there, all that stuff real quick, and then to top it off, we will recap everything, and we will give our final thoughts of the show. And we will remind you that next week is a huge week for the Sports Box Network, as we are going to be going through draft mocks and getting ready for the NFL draft on Thursday night, which I am super excited about. I am probably more excited about the draft next week than it is my wife's surprise birthday party on Saturday. So with that being said, Alex, how was your weekend, brother?
It was good, man. Played a little bit of softball, hung out, had a good time.
That's good, man. Ryan, how was your weekend, bro?
It was good. Relaxed, enjoying the married life. So it was nice to have a weekend away. All the family went away and enjoying my day.
Good, man. Brant, how was your weekend?
It was great. Had some friends come down from Fayetteville. Went out to a farm, picked some fruit, and just spent time with the family. It was a good time.
Good, man. Guys, let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Let's just dive right on in. First down, we are. It was announced over the week on Instagram. Alex Smith has retired from the NFL. There was some talks. A couple episodes ago, Alex Smith was being linked to Houston Texans. That's just a fairy tale now. Now it's official. He's done. I think all of us can, breathe, especially his wife, knowing that he doesn't have to go through any more, horrendous accidents or injuries and the surgeries alone. Ryan, was this the right decision, and did you expect it to happen this quick?
It's 100% the right decision. As a big fan of Alex Smith, coming from, this guy he was literally known as the guy that was taken before Aaron Rodgers, and that was going to be his legacy. And he's really took that and kind of flipped it on its head. I'm happy for him. I think we were all watching when Aaron Donald jumped on his back, and we're just thinking about that leg literally being crushed into pieces again. And if you watch the 30 for 30 on him, if you're not an Alex Smith fan, you're dead to me. Like, this guy just seems like the ultimate human being. literally did everything to come back. Like worked with like the Wounded Warriors Foundation to, to essentially get that leg up and moving. And frankly, a lot of people give Alex Smith crap for not having a great career. This guy was a muff punt away from actually being in the Super Bowl to a game that they should have gone there instead of Eli Manning and the Giants. He resurrected the Chiefs, bringing them back to a playoff winning high caliber team. And, I got nothing but props for the guy. He's a local kid in San Diego. I had the opportunity to watch him in high school, him and Reggie Bush together. And my hat is off to him. They should really rename the Comeback Player Award as the Alex Smith Award based on what he did last year. I'm a big fan.
Brant.
I'm going to echo very similar statements. Alex Smith to me is the ultimate guy that you want as a teammate. He's going to be the guy that's going to go out, give you everything he's got, whether he's got drop foot and can't lift his foot up off the ground. I mean, when you consider football players, like what they go through, I think you have to consider him one of the ultimate football players. Like going through that injury the way he did. For me, sure, I would have been like, shoot, give me $22 million. Let me sit in the third string role the rest of the year and not play. But he's like, nah, I want to be out there. He was 5-6-1 with the Reds with Washington this year. I mean, that's really impressive. I think when you're talking about someone that you want to role model yourself after, I think Alex Smith is a great one to choose, and I would agree with him being the Comeback Player of the Year award being named after Alex Smith.
All right, now for Mr. Negativity, Alex, go ahead.
No, listen, I don't have nothing negative to say about his character, right? I mean, listen, I give him all the prop in the world. I mean, the guy almost died 3 times, supposedly, on the operating table. He came back to play football. He was actually a serviceable starter for Washington. He actually looked pretty decent. But, I mean, as far as, like, career-wise, he's never going to be a Hall of Famer. And so what are we really talking about? The argument was made, we were talking about this before the podcast, right, was he's one of the most successful number ones. Well, what does that say about franchises that draft number one? They're not very good. I mean, I give the guy all the props in the world. Yeah, they could rename the trophy Comeback Player Alex Smith trophy. I'm fine with that. But as far as a football player, he was subpar average at best.
Ooh.
Yeah,
100%. Look at his numbers. Look at his seasons. Look at all of that.
Subpar is a little strong.
He was a subpar. He was above average for me.
Oh my Lord!
Great quarterback, great leader, great teammate. To my fellow co-host here to the left of me, Alex and Ryan. Brant and Ryan. I appreciate you guys for being very honest and very truthful. Unlike some people like Grinch who stole Christmas down.
Okay, we'll go down to stats when you're done with this.
I'll let you talk.
Go ahead, hurry up.
Yep. So I definitely
think, hurry up.
Definitely think they need to rename the trophy for the Comeback Player of the Year. I think all of us agree on that part. Definitely for everything he's gone through. I think this is the wrong decision. I'm going to stand up and say it 2 feet. If there was a team that was in contention to go and make a run, I'm going to throw a team out there. Miami Dolphins. He would have been great as a backup to Tua. And help Tua's game up a little bit. I don't care. Y'all can shake your head all you want.
The guy
had game.
What's the point?
Or the Chiefs. The Chiefs would have been a good one too.
Go be a coach.
The guy had game.
There you go.
He got your team into a postseason appearance, regardless of how bad the division was.
I mean, that front
he still
seven
played good. He
okay.
still played good ball. So I still think that he was able to provide something to the NFL. Go ahead. Alex, you want to interrupt people all the time.
I don't think you saw like how that last calf injury affected him though. Like they had to put a boot on him to stretch out his calf because he could not do it. And then you've got to think about life after. Like he's still 36, 37 years old. Like he's got a lot of life to live. There's no need to rush it, get hurt. But I'm gonna go ahead and hit Alex with the stat real quick, right? So there are 5 quarterbacks in history to throw for 35,000 yards and rush for 2,500 yards. Elway, Rodgers, Fran Tarkenton, Alex Smith, and Donovan McNabb. Like
it's a pretty good company.
It's a pretty decent.
Good company.
You lost me at Donovan McNabb, but other than that, the other guys
he was
were
the
pretty
last
good.
one, but it doesn't matter. He was the last one being called.
but the other ones are still really good. So when you're looking at that, like he's had a good career, I would say.
What's the difference between
above
the rest of
average.
those guys, though?
What?
That he
Even
was-
Donovan McNabb made it to a Super Bowl.
He should have gone to a Super Bowl. He should have.
Woo! Let's
And
talk
technically-
about it.
Oh, dude.
Let's talk about
I mean,
it.
hey.
Everybody else on that list has got a ring.
Nobody's winning anything with or Jim Harbaugh as a
my
coach.
God.
That dude is a
All
terrible coach.
What is this? A participation trophy? Just to get to the Super Bowl means you're a good quarterback?
Bro, 15-year career.
Come on, man.
He only played 16 games 3 times.
Alex,
He
would
only
you rather
had
be
one
Joe
season.
Flacco or Alex
He
Smith?
only had, of course, I'd rather
Hey.
have Alex Smith, but Joe Flacco's a scrub.
He'd be the most
got a
successful
ring.
Ohio State quarterback ever if he could come out
Oh
of
my
a Buckeye.
God.
Just
Anyways,
sit down in the corner. Goodness gracious.
yeah, right. The guy that the Washington football team, right? Don't even have a fucking name. Get out of here, dude. Anyways, 16 games 3 times in his career. Only threw for over 4,000 yards 1 year in his career. Only threw for more than 25 touchdowns 1 time. That same year when he had 4,000 yards. The year before, by the way, Patrick Mahomes took over and set all kinds of records with the same offense. So the guy's below
Mahomes
average.
better.
You guys don't know shit about stats clearly because
Oh
you're
my
sitting here
God.
propping this guy up. He was.
Oh my God.
I feel great.
Stats.
He came back.
Those numbers you just listed are Troy Aikman numbers. Like he's not. He's a
Who's
game
stuck-
manager.
Troy Aikman
He's a
is in the Super Bowl simply because the team, or I mean, in the Hall of Fame simply because of the team he played on. I think if you talk to most educated football fans, Troy Aikman was average at best.
yes, but here's
Okay,
this is what we're
then.
talking about. If you just want to look at stats all day, let's look at volume numbers like crazy. Nobody cares about that. But when it comes down to the guy was a winner. Like Alex Smith was a winner in all aspects of life. He turned around a lot of different teams. Like before he got Wally pipped by Cap, he led that team. That was a good team, but straight Wally pipped, and now Cap took over. It is what it is. Now we can't talk about Mahomes. Mahomes is the greatest young quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Agreed. I mean,
So
but my
that's
point
apples
is,
and oranges. To not give
Definitely
Alex Smith his
apples and
nod and
oranges.
say that he's just a mediocre quarterback, I think
Yes.
you're better
He
than that.
said below average to
Yeah,
average.
that's
yeah,
he was a good.
it's Troy
I was a-
Aikman.
Because,
I'm a
Troy Aikman
Charger
without
fan.
the Super Bowl win.
I'm a Charger fan. I would
Right,
see
you
Alex
just
Smith
talked
2
about,
times a
he's
year.
from San Diego. You the little heart. I don't care about that.
No, what
We're
I'm
talking
saying.
about-
Listen, this
if you
guy.
want to, if you want to be real about this, he was a mediocre at best
no,
quarterback.
No,
He
no,
just
wasn't.
played
Not
for
even
15
close.
years.
You're the only one
Not
that
even
thinks that.
close.
Right.
being
I'm
a
the only
quarterback
one.
is more than
Not
just
close.
stats. It's about your leadership. It's about how you affect the locker room. And there is no way that you can look at Alex Smith and be like, he wasn't a leader of men in that locker room. Like he went in there and he took
Average
control of
at
whatever
best.
team he was in. He's not. Absolutely not.
Average at best.
It's not about all stats. You got to be a game manager, and Alex Smith was second to none when it came to managing a game.
All right.
I'd pull that hat down further too, bro.
Yeah. You're right. I mean,
He doesn't
this
have any
got
eyebrows, so it
the
happens.
ultimate. This
New
guy,
rules
Tom,
have
Tom
rules have.
Brady, who,
Okay,
you
we're
know-
moving on. We're moving on.
Exactly.
New rules have been passed today, such as extra guidance for instant replay for officials, an advantage for teams on onside kick that we'll talk about, and numbers that are all now available for jerseys. So the thing with the advantage of the onside kick is now that anybody can line up where they want when they kick off the ball for onside kicks, which I think is a huge advantage for the kicking team. I think it's something that they're trying to, I don't think the NFL wants to go down the 4th and 15 route. I don't see it happening, but I like it, but I don't see it happening at all. And there's no support for it. I think it was the Eagles. I think it was the Eagles. I think they shelved it, saying there's not enough support. For the extra guidance and instant replay, I'm all about it. More judges, more officiating, more of a right answer. Hopefully, we'll get, so we'll never have that scenario over again with the Rams and the Saints in the conference playoffs, where the Saints should have won that game. And then obviously all numbers are now available, which I love. I think it brings another thing a cool, exciting thing to the game. It would have been cool to see Reggie Bush rock number 5 coming out of USC, but I think that gives us a little bit more of a kick drive to the NFL. Brant, do you see anything on here that you don't like that was passed? And is there a rule that you would love to see get passed one day?
So it's a little tricky with this, right? Like I like the onside rule. I wish they would go to the kickoff of the XFL. I thought that was one of the better implementations that the XFL have, where you have the kicking team line up at the other 20, and then you have to pin it between the 10-20. I like that. Plus, it limited like hard hits, right? Damn, where's the hair holding up the hat? Goodness gracious. But I like the fact that they're trying to make an onside kick a little bit easier to get, and it's not as crowded. I think that'll make games towards the end a little bit more fun, because right now it's pretty. I mean, unless you're a Falcons fan, then you're pretty much guaranteed to give it up. But outside of that, the onside kick's good, and I like the jersey numbers just because the NFL stood for not for long for a long time, right? So at least they're starting to make small changes to become more fun, more fan friendly.
I agree. Alex, any of the rules that you don't like that passed, any of the rules that you want to see passed?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get rid of ties. I would love for there to be an actual winner. Ties are the dumbest thing when you're supposed to be the pinnacle of the sport. I just think it's insane. I mean, if you guys remember, famously, Donovan McNabb didn't know the games could end in a tie when the Eagles tied that game, right? Like he was baffled in the post-game interview. Right. I mean, hilarious, right? I think it's a brilliant marketing strategy by the NFL, because a bunch of chuckleheads are going to go out and buy new jerseys. They're going to make more money with the new number thing. So I think it's a great strategy by them. That's the only thing the NFL operates on is money decisions. So it's another great way to get more money, and all of us are going to eat it up, and a bunch of guys are going to go buy new jerseys for their new players. To me, it's pointless. I mean, great. It should have been a rule from the beginning. Why was it ever, not allowed? It's kind of goofy to me. So they realized, hey, we can make some more money. Guys are going to change their numbers. Let's do it. So they did it. There's no real rules that I don't like that they passed. I think the replay should be as intrusive as possible. If you're going to have it, you need to get the call right. I mean, what's the point of having it? Everything should be reviewable. At any point in time. I don't get how some things aren't reviewable. I think that's dumb. The Saints were absolutely jobbed out of a playoff win, which is hard enough to get to the playoffs. Who knows what could have happened? Maybe Drew would have got another ring. Maybe it changes his whole legacy. So I think, replay being more enforced or more eyes on it, I think that's a great move. There weren't really any that I didn't like this time. Not like normal. Normally there's one where I'm like, why did they even make that change? It's kind of dumb. But this time, I think they got them all right. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, for me, man, just to speak real quick, I love all the rules that passed. I also love the rule of no more overtime for preseason games. I forgot to put that in there, but it's absolutely idiotic to have overtime in preseason, just more chances for guys to get hurt. I'm glad they got rid of that. I'm also for the rule thing for me, I'm the same with Alex. Ties is like kissing your sister. It's over and over. It's just what we hear as athletes all the time. You never tie. And I'm sick and tired of seeing ties. I'm also sick and tired of our overtime rule. I want our overtime rule to change. It's still decided by a coin flip. According to recent stats, it's still decided by a coin flip. It needs to change. They need to get in touch with these times. College football seems they got it right. I don't say to start at the 25 or wherever college football starts in overtime, but they need to start at least at the 50. And then figure it out and always go for twos instead of doing PATs. It's easily can be fixed. And as a fantasy footballer, like all of us, I would love overtime for NFL, but that's just me. Ryan, any issues? And what rule would you like to see change one day?
I kind of piggyback with what you guys say. There's nothing really here that profound, like that's something that shouldn't be around. I will say with the officials, I'm a little worried about game process. I hope it doesn't slow it down too much. There's a lot of times in the NFL when we're reviewing some things and it's like the game flow just slows down so much. And I really enjoy like a fast paced running the ball, passing the ball, run and gun kind of offense where the game just seems to be moving. I'm worried about it slowing down there a little bit. The onside kick is great. Just like when they moved the PAT back, these low percentage, like the field goal, it was a no-brainer. 99 out of 100 are going in. Now we're getting some missed PATs, and it's just affecting the game more. More plays that affect the game I'm a fan of. So with the onside rule, I like the opportunity to actually recover the ball. And Drew, you hit the nail on the head. They got to change overtime. The fact that the MLB will play for 9.5 hours to finish a game, and the NFL says, no, if you tie, you tie. It's trash. I want a winner every single time.
Yep. All right, boys. What are the San Francisco 49ers up to? So if you guys remember back, let's take it back, Alex, and Ryan, and Brant. They were first linked with Trey Lance. I remember me and Alex talked about this, over text. We're like, okay, well, I guess he fits that system. He's the guy. That's what they want. The ceiling's, the higher the ceiling, higher it is for him. This is Kyle Shanahan's cat. And then we went from him to Fields, or to him to Mac Jones to Fields. Fields back to Mac Jones. And now they made it important, according to Twitter. An executive wanted to go to Trey Lance's pro day. Now we have 3 quarterbacks that could possibly in the running for the San Francisco 49ers at pick number 3. Alex, what's going on, man? Is this just smokescreen, or is this? I don't get it.
So the Trey Lance thing is confusing for the fact that if they would have just stayed at 6, right, they could have got Trey Lance. I fully believe when they made the second trade.
Oh, the second
6,
trade. Okay.
Right. When they went to Philly initially, and then they moved back up to 3 or to Carolina.
That's Miami.
I forget who they trade with the 6. Miami? Is that who they traded with the 6? So when they went to 6, I thought they could have got Trey Lance, right? It doesn't make sense to take Trey Lance at 3. I don't think anybody was thinking about him at 3. It just doesn't make sense to me for Trey Lance. But if you're not going to take Fields, I would rather you take Lance because he's got a higher upside than Mac Jones. So if you have questions about Justin Fields, which you rightfully probably should, because like we've all talked about, right? Ohio State, any real big college, does not have a great track record with quarterbacks in the NFL. If you look at all the top quarterbacks, except for Tom Brady, they came from non-big, schools. I guess you can count Peyton Manning because Tennessee was big for a while, but they haven't been good for a long time, right? But besides that, right, for the most part, they're not powerhouse programs that the good quarterbacks come from. So maybe they have some reservation. Maybe, they're concerned. But then that excludes, old boy from Alabama as well. So Trey Lance, I mean, if they take him at 3, I think it's a huge stretch. I think he's the shakiest prospect in all of this draft, to be honest with you. I just don't know that there's enough good tape on him against quality competition to give you the warm and fuzzy. But then again, there wasn't a lot of good tape on Jared Allen. There wasn't a lot of good tape on Carson Wentz against good, high-quality opponents. So, take it as it is. Who knows? Unfortunately, this is like Russian roulette, right? You're just pulling the trigger and hoping you get the right guy. So I don't like it. I don't like it if they take Trey Lance at 3. I think they could have got him later. But if they do, I mean, they get paid a lot of money to make these decisions. So, I mean, maybe they figured it out.
I mean, for me, man, honestly, dude, Fields is the most obvious pick for me personally. I like his traits. I like his arm. I like his movement. I don't care that he has epilepsy. I mean, he's battling it. I don't even know why that's an issue. I don't know why that was reported today. I think that's absolutely idiotic. That has to be something that they have to look into. It has nothing. It doesn't affect him. It doesn't affect him at all for anything that he does. But for me, I think Fields. I think this is the smokescreen, Alex. And I also think that Fields is the pick. And I think Niners are just effing around the NFL, trying to get them worried. The most intriguing pick, and I'll say this till the cows go home, is going to be Atlanta. I think Atlanta's going to have the most interesting pick at 4. Do they trade back with the Broncos or with another team in the back with the Patriots, or do they stick at 4 and go with the quarterback? It's plain and simple. The draft starts at 4. Ryan,
I think this is their guy. I briefly touched on about it when we were doing our top top 11, I think we did. When they moved up, because they only moved up once. They've only done one trade. They went from 12 to 3. And he wouldn't be there at 12. I don't think Trey Lance would fall all the way to 12. So they jumped up because they wanted to get their guy. I think this is who it is. Now, the 49ers have made this really interesting. And I don't know if it's because they're both football guys between Shanahan growing up. Don't tease me like that, man. Shanahan growing up in the football community, John Lynch being involved in football the majority of his life. Like, these guys have played it. They've been there. It's crazy that how quiet this has turned, and it's really turned exciting for the NFL. I think the NFL loves this. The amount of publicity that's truly getting. Now, to speak on the guys, Trey Lance could have been. He was going to go to a Pac-10, or I'm sorry, a Big Ten school, but they said, you're going to be a wide receiver if you come here, and he said, no, I'm going to be a quarterback. I don't know what it is. There's a bug in my ear that Shanahan says he likes that grit. Like, this is a guy that would call his own protection at the line. Like, he knows the game very well. You're absolutely right. Did he play against the competition? No, he didn't play against any big schools whatsoever. But we've seen success with that with other players. Say it again.
Either did Zach Wilson.
Exactly. So, and for whatever reason, that's the for sure number 2, which in my personal opinion, that's going to be the biggest bust of this draft. Him 100% at number 2. I don't know why it's gone that way, but it is. That's who the Jets want. And that's who they're going to get. I genuinely think that this is no smokescreen. I bet you Trey Lance ends up at the number 3 pick in the NFL draft.
I'll tell you something right now. If that happens, I'm going to laugh my ass off. I'm going to tell you guys right now. They could have stayed where they were and not give up
at 12?
a future. No, but at 9. They could have traded up to 9. If the Broncos or 8 with Carolina, because the Carolina's got their quarterback. They could have easily traded up to 8 and not give up 2 first-round picks. Instead of just giving up, they could probably give up only 1. Brant?
For me, it's either Fields or Mac Jones. I don't think Trey Lance is it. It just doesn't make sense. I think Lance is one of the highest potential upsides in this draft, but there's just so much unknown, right? Like, he only started 1 year in college. They played Eastern Washington in like a little playoff game, and it wasn't great. But he didn't throw any interceptions last year. He's athletic. He's got arm strength. But when I'm looking at a Kyle Shanahan run offense and he sort of goes after how his dad did it, I'm leaning Mac Jones. I think someone that can make reads quick, easy. He's got enough arm strength to hit the short routes. I think he fits what they're looking for. I know the betting line right now is more on Justin Fields. And that's who I'd go with. Honestly, I think he's the second best quarterback in this draft. For me, it's Lawrence, Fields, Wilson, Lance, and then Mac Jones. If it's Mac Jones at 3 as a non-49ers fan, I'm stoked out of my mind because I'm like, I don't want him on my roster whatsoever. Because everybody keeps talking about Justin Fields and his character concerns, but I'm like, what? Yeah, does he have a DUI like Mac Jones? No.
You mean 2 DUIs?
Right. And don't get me wrong. I know Brian Attar is going to lose his mind on this one, but there's just certain things you can't do and get caught with on social media. And, dressing up as a president and making fun of them, just one of those things that you need to be really careful with. There's been a lot of pressure, and I'm like, maybe that steers San Francisco away because, San Francisco is a little bit left leaning. Maybe that pushes them away from him a little bit and more towards, Justin Fields. But for me, I think Mac Jones makes a lot of sense there. And as a non-fan, I hope he goes.
Definitely. All right, guys, let's get into the next one. It's our last discussion of this topic, and we'll take Alex out of this one. We're going to talk about retirement of tight end Jordan Reed. Alex, you've seen him play most. And
you mean to say Brant, right?
Sorry, Brant. I'm sorry, my son keeps kicking me on my damn leg. What do you see his career in totality of everything?
In totality, I think he is one of the biggest matchup nightmares who could never stay healthy long enough due to different injuries and cheap shots that he took that caused concussions. Honestly, I think he could have been a top 5 tight end of all time with the athleticism that he brought and his ability to catch. Honestly, like he couldn't stay healthy.
What are you guys laughing about that for? This guy was a beast.
He was great.
Alex's reaction.
when he was healthy, he was great, but he was never healthy. And so I think when you look in totality, you look at injuries kept him from being really good. But I mean, there were times when you'd look at him and be like, he's up there with top 2 tight ends in the league with athleticism and skills. He just could never put it together and then stay away from the injuries long enough to make it happen. I mean, in the end, he's not anyone that's going to cause any stirs by retiring. I'm glad he does because I've watched him play. I loved him as a player, but was it 8 concussions he suffered in the NFL? It's, you got to think about life after the sport. And, that many concussions, it's going to be hard. He's definitely someone that I'm sure when he passes, they'll donate his brain for, the CTE studies. And that'll be one that'll be interesting because he has taken a lot of punishment. But when I'm talking about Jordan Reed, just a lot of unfulfilled potential.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of unfulfilled potential as well. Could have been, he definitely was a matchup nightmare. And then during his prime, that very, very short prime, he was elite. He was elite. I actually was a real fan of him because I played tight end in high school, so I love watching tight ends play. And he was the 5-tool tight end type of player that you would want on your team, blocking, running, and just a red zone beast. But unfortunately, concussions and injuries stopped and derailed his career. And that's just the name of the game. Sometimes we get in the NFL. I'm leaving Alex last because I can't wait to laugh. So Ryan, go ahead.
I'm piggybacking when you guys are jumping on this guy. You look at like a Travis Kelce, look at the Zach Ertz, the guys who kind of run the NFL this year or the past years as tight ends. He was that plus more athleticism. He had great hands. The hits he took were just ridiculous. I don't know if you guys remember the Keanu Neal hit in Atlanta. That was one of the worst cheap shots I've seen in the NFL history. And I mean, the guy he got fined like $30,000. And for me, that wasn't enough. That's borderline assault. Like that was bad. But I'm happy for him. The reality is with what he's suffered in concussions, it's pretty much a guarantee that he's already going to suffer from CTE. Let's stop right now. Get ahead. Get out while you're already ahead. Wish him the best. He could have had a Gronk-like career if he was on the right team and just didn't have the bad luck that he did. The guy was a stud. Linebackers couldn't cover him, and he was too big for safeties. He was Julio on safeties, and I'm happy he's ending his career. I wish more could have came from him.
Washington's like the place to go to end your career early when you're elite.
Hey.
Alex, go ahead.
Joe Theismann.
Yeah, I mean, I guess according to you guys, this is the Bob Sanders of tight ends. I mean, just what could have been, right? Like, I mean, that's how you guys are talking about a guy who had
pretty much
a one above average season. I mean, I get it. He was injury prone. Yes, was he talented? 100%. He was here when I was stationed here the first time, and I'm not going to watch Ravens, so I went and watched Redskins games. Well, sorry, Washington football team games.
Redskins back then,
right, but and he was a matchup nightmare when he was on the field for like 4 plays. So listen, it's good. I mean, he was very talented. But what's your best ability? Availability. So I mean, it coulda, woulda, shoulda. I mean, we didn't see enough sample size to know if he could have maintained that eliteness. So in a full season because he never played one. So I mean, it sucks. It's 7 years of average. I think 7 games. 7.5 games. 75 games in 7 years.
Don't try to math when you're on a podcast right now. Right?
7.5 games. 7.5 games a year. I mean, it's great for 7.5 games a year. He did really well, but he's retired now. He's got a lot of money. Have fun. Go enjoy it. And
does he have a lot of money?
Yeah. He made some good money. He did sign one big deal because he re-signed with Washington. I think his breakout year was his contract year. The year where he had like 900 yards, I think, or 952 yards, 11 touchdowns was his contract year, I think. So,
what a catch! Yeah,
I mean, first time in years, Reed is in question. Jesus, listen, I mean, I agree with everything you guys said. It doesn't move the needle for me because he was a never was. Unfortunately for him, not that he didn't have the talent, not that he wasn't, you know what I mean? but I would never put him in Kelsey or any of theirs. I mean, the guy was 6'2", 240 pounds. Kelsey's a bear of a man at 6'5", and is absolutely a stud. I would not say he's anywhere close to as athletic as Kittle. I disagree with that. But was he talented 100%? Obviously, he made it to the NFL, so I'm not going to argue there. He doesn't move the needle retiring. I don't think it's a big deal. Nobody's going to miss him. He wasn't going to be a roster spot for anybody. I mean, he was done. So,
all right, guys, take it down, buy or sell. We're started off here with quarterback Sam Darnold of the Carolina Panthers. Will be a top 10 fantasy quarterback in 2021. Brant.
Sell hard. Like the hardest sell possible. I like Darnold in Carolina, but looking at the top 10 quarterbacks from last year, they all averaged over 21, 22 points a game. I don't think he gets anywhere near that to make the top 10. But I like him in this roster, but it's just, I got to see how he does. But no, I'm selling hard on him being a top 10 fantasy QB.
Yeah, I'm selling too. I have him as one of my sleepers, definitely for this upcoming year for the draft. I think he'll sneak by a lot of managers who want to draft, and I can easily get him in the 11 to 13 round easily. So for me personally, I'm gonna sell on him being top 10, but I think he can easily be from 11 to 15. Alex?
Yeah, I wanted to buy really hard, and then I realized. Remember, Curtis Samuel's now in Washington. He's not there anymore. So he's only got Robbie Anderson. CMC's coming back, and CMC is going to be, they're going to force feed CMC the ball 100%.
DJ Moore?
Huh?
Did you say DJ Moore?
No, I said Robbie Anderson. I mean, DJ Moore's all right. He's not Robbie Anderson, though. I mean, was Curtis Samuel? Was Curtis Samuel not the second best receiver on that team? I would think so. So
I gotta look at his stats. I don't know.
It was like a 2A, 2B. I feel they're very comparable to each other.
Sure, but it's not as potent as an offense. They run the ball more than he's going to really be able to thrive in. So yeah, can he be 11 to 15? Yeah, if all the stars line up, yeah, possibly. But I think he's most likely going to be out of the top 10 and. Initially, I wanted to buy, like I said, but I just don't think he's going to make it.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, I jump on board with that. I think the reality is I think he's going to be good. I think that the team's going to be better. But if you look at the top 10 in the NFL, they're elite. They're just better than everybody else. Like, these are good, really good players. So he's not going to make the top 10. I think he's going to be respectable. I think that he'll earn some money in his next contract because he's still very young and he's still got a future in front of him. And I think him and Carolina could actually build a really great relationship and hopefully bring some winning back to Carolina.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. One of the 2021 rookie quarterbacks will finish in the top 10 for 2021. Alex, do you see a rookie quarterback being able to finish in the top 10?
I mean, the easy answer seems like Trevor Lawrence, right? They do have some good wide receivers there, but the offensive line, unless they address it in the draft, I don't know how much time he's going to have to throw the ball. So I don't know, honestly, if I would say Justin Fields if he doesn't go to Atlanta, because if he goes to Atlanta, he's sitting on the bench for a year. So if Fields gets drafted by anybody but Atlanta, Fields is my pick. With the caveat, obviously, if he gets drafted by Atlanta, he's sitting on the bench. So I just don't know if there's enough offensive line to protect Lawrence to get him into the top 10. I don't know that any rookie QBs will make the top 10, but I think Fields, depending on what situation he goes to, will have the best chance.
Ryan.
No, it's not going to happen. I hesitate a little bit because Kyler Murray, his rookie year, was a top 10 QB when it came to the fantasy community, and Trevor Lawrence is better than that, and he has better weapons than Kyler did his rookie year. So for all intents and purposes, you look at him and be like, well, he should be if you look at that kind of comp. But the reality is, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to have to go to run the ball a little bit. The game's going to be too fast for him right now, and he is a running quarterback in the sense of that he can get out of the pocket and escape, but he's not Kyler running quarterback. Like I don't anticipate him rushing for 800 yards this season. I think he'll be respectable. There's no doubt about it because he is very mobile, but there's a reason he didn't run the 40. He's not really as fast as he looks on film. So for me, it's a hard no. And to kind of piggyback with that, I think the best quarterback in this draft that comes out is going to be on the 49ers. Whoever ends up with the 49ers is going to end up having the better career, in my opinion, even better than Trevor Lawrence.
Brant.
I'm going to buy, actually, a little surprising. But in 2019, you had Kyler Murray, was a rookie, and he, landed in the top 10. And then last year, you had Justin Herbert as a rookie that landed in the top 10. I think this will continue this year. I've still got to see how the draft's going to unfold, but based on the athleticism of Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Lance, Mac Jones has a little. I would say that one of those four has a really good shot of landing in the top 10 for fantasy. Because like I said, it takes about that 20 to 22 points, which, if they can do it, it's possible. So I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy a rookie for the third straight year finishing in the top 10 for fantasy.
Yeah, I'm selling. This isn't happening. Trevor Lawrence, I like him a lot, but he's not my number one quarterback. I got Fields as number one, Lawrence at 2. I with Urban Meyer, new system, like Ryan said, the game has to come to him. It's going to take him a while to figure it out. He struggled against big-time defenses in the last 2 years in the playoffs and the championship. I feel like it's going to take him a while to get the game going, to understand it. I'm not losing hope on him. I think he's going to have a good career, but I just don't see any quarterback from this draft being top 10. That's just me. Which quarterback will drop from the top 10 from 2020 in 2021 for fantasy? As you look, guys, and we can see, I'll scroll it down for you guys in a little bit. Josh Allen was number 1 in full PPR. Kyler Murray was 2. Aaron Rodgers 3. Mahomes 4. Watson 5. Russell Wilson 6. Tannehill 7. That's a shocker right there. Brady was 8. Herbert was 9. And Lamar Jackson was 10. With Kirk Cousins he was way off. And so with that being said, I'm going to start with Alex. Alex, which quarterback do you see not being in the top 10 after 2021?
So, your eyes immediately go to Ryan Tannehill.
It does.
Automatically, one of these things is not like the other when you look at this list. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he played in Miami. He played for a terrible coach. Since he's been in Tennessee, he's been really good. He hasn't just been average. He's been really good. We just forget about it because Derrick Henry's so dominant, right? That's all you think about there is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry. When you think about Tennessee, it's Derrick Henry. He's snuck in and had some really good, not just fantasy seasons, but seasons, like stat-wise, NFL-wise. If I have to take a guess, it's tough because Lamar Jackson, because of his running ability, I feel like he's always going to get extra touchdowns, but they're just not helping him as far as passing. They're just not bringing – Sammy Watkins is not the answer there. From what I'm hearing, they're drafting defense in the first round. I don't really have any difference makers in the second round at wide receiver unless they would trade up, but I think they're drafting too low in the second round to get a difference maker at wide receiver. They can get a speed guy, but I don't know about a big guy that's a true number 1. So if I have to go gun to my head, I'm going to say Lamar Jackson. But it's also tough too because that means what we just talked about where a rookie's going to make it because if you look at the rest of the guys – I don't have faith in Baker, so Baker's not going to take that spot. Kirk Cousins is going to get worse, I feel like. Matt Ryan's going to have maybe Derek Carr, Matt Stafford. There's a perfect one. Okay, that gives me hope. Maybe he could jump into the top 10 because he's in a better offensive situation than he was in Detroit. You're forgetting
about Dak, too.
Oh, yeah, Dak being hurt. There's another one. So there's 2 guys. Yeah, and he was on the fringe. He was 10 this year. I'm going to say Lamar Jackson if I have to pick one, but I think top 10 will probably look pretty similar to the same as it did this year.
Okay, obviously I'm not going to pick Deshaun Watson because we're going to exclude him because of his massage therapist issues.
Massage gate.
Yeah,
Gate
massage gate.
2020.
That's I'm not going to get to it. For me personally, I'm looking at two quarterbacks. I'm looking at Ryan Tannehill. I'm looking at Lamar Jackson. I trust Tannehill more than I trust Lamar Jackson right now. He fits that system. He fits that mold. It seems like it's a new quarterback that's finally away from the curse of Adam Gase. That's a bar. And so, with that being said, I don't see Tannehill dropping because I think Tennessee's trusting him more with every week throwing the ball, and I see more of Lamar Jackson not being able to finish in the top 10 because Dak didn't play. So if Dak plays, Dak's automatically going to be in my top 7 just because of the offensive firepower that he has around him with Zeke in the back, who's going to be such a steal for first round managers in the end of the first round that's going to be able to pick him up because Zeke's been a top 5 pick the last, 4 or 5 years since 2016 or 2017. So this is going to be the first year we're going to see Zeke fall out of the top 5, but that's another top for another day. So for me, guys, I'm taking Lamar Jackson out. There's no way I could take Josh Allen, Kyle Murray with his offensive weapons. He has Rodgers MVP last year, Mahomes, Watson if he comes back, Russell Wilson, Ryan Tannehill, and then Tom Brady, who just got back the same offense pretty much, gets a year under Bruce Arians' offense. It's going to be stupid what Tom Brady's going to do next year. So with that being said, I got to go Lamar Jackson. No receivers. I'm with you, Alex. Sammy Watkins is their best signing in offense in the offseason for offense. Are you kidding me? We can't get Lamar Jackson a receiver other than a guy named Hollywood. I don't get it. And if they go defense first round, it's a joke. They gotta go receiver to help this kid out, dude. They got to figure out the Orlando issue first and foremost, but we'll talk about that later. Lamar Jackson's my guy. Ryan.
Yeah, I don't think it's just going to be one. You're definitely going to have 2 guys fall. Lamar's going to be one. I think 9 and 10 drop. Now, obviously, I'm a Charger fan, and I hate to say out loud that Justin Herbert's going to fall. But if you look at these numbers, the drop off starts there, and with that coming back, and these guys they're going to score more fantasy points. It is what it is. And actually, a little side note, fantasy owners, I don't know how, I'm sure there's a lot of guys listening that play fantasy football. This is why you draft a QB late. That formula works every single time. There's 12 legit quarterbacks that will keep you in the running. You don't need to go in the first 3-4 rounds, getting the Mahomes, the Rodgers, and all that. Listen, because it works. All right. Now, going back to what I was saying, I think 9 and 10 drop off. I don't think it'll be just the one. So I vote for Herbert and Jackson to fall off, but not fall.
Brant.
All right, so when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the averages too, because I'm going to pretend in this scenario that we're doing that injuries don't exist, right? And so when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at Justin Herbert had 22.86 points per game. Lamar Jackson had 22.79. Both Tannehill and Brady had less than that. So if Herbert played a full 16 games and Lamar Jackson played a full 16 games, they would have been higher. For me, I actually have Brady and Herbert being the ones that'll probably drop off a little bit. I mean, Brady's
You're a hoe.
Brady's getting older. So, and they just brought in Gio Bernard. So, he's going to take a bunch of carries in the running game. But I think they're going to try to ease Brady's load. I was just kidding. That was sarcasm.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Top and bottom are like, this dude's an idiot. No, I think they're going to ease him into the year. So I think he'll start off a little slower, trying to make sure that because they're going to make the playoffs. There's no doubt. And have him more fresh and ready. So I think by easing Brady in, I think it'll drop his points down a little bit. And Justin Herbert, he exceeded expectations in a way that I don't think anybody expected. I thought he had bust potential, but he came out and destroyed that. I just never saw it in college. I didn't see it. He has all the tools, but I see him have maybe taken a little step back after people get some film on him. But my 2 would be Brady and Herbert dropping down.
All right. Boys, let me get rid of that real quick. Sorry. What NFL head coach will be on the hot seat heading into 2021? Real quick, we're just going to go through each division. Just say hot or cold or extremely hot, or you get the point. Let's start with the AFC West. I'm going to start with John Gruden. Las Vegas Raiders. He's on like year 5 of a $10 million each year, 10-year deal. Real quick, Brant, hot or cold?
Hot. And his contract makes it really, really difficult. But man, Mike Mayock should not ever get a job again as an analyst on TV because that dude, Cleveland Farrell, it's all you need to say. They've struggled with drafting, and honestly, it's just been a mess. And then bringing in Kenyon Drake this year, like my fantasy team.
I said quick.
Ugh, hot.
I'm saying warm. Alex?
Cold. I mean, he's got all the power.
I hear you. I agree with you. Ryan?
I agree. Cold. Him and Davis are just too tight. They're like boys.
Yep.
I won't do rookie head coaches like Brandon Staley. I'm not going to do it. So
yeah.
Denver, Vic Fangio, Brant.
Very, very warm.
Very hot for me. Alex?
Yeah, I'm hot.
Hot. Ryan?
Hot. 12-20 is not good.
Thank you. And obviously, I think we all can agree here. Andy Reid, very cold.
He's an iceberg.
He's okay.
He is not moving.
I don't know.
He is an iceberg.
Does his son's legal issues have any bearing on him as a coach?
No, stop.
No.
I'm just asking.
Separate. No.
I
He's an
get
iceberg.
I get the question, but there's no way I couldn't. Yeah, let's go to the AC North. Obviously, Mike Tomlin just got a 3-year deal, so he's very comfortable, so we don't need to say anything about him. Let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals. Head coach, Ryan, hot or cold?
Hot.
Alex?
Cold.
Cold?
Yeah, I mean, he lost the number 1 pick. Yeah, they were in games that people didn't think they were going to be in because of Burrow. I think it's cold. I think he gets at least 2 more years to see what Burrow can be and what his offense can do.
6-25-1.
I mean, that's fine, but
but
I mean, they kept Marvin Lewis for years.
Fine.
No,
They kept Marvin Lewis for years,
And I think they're learning from that mistake. They're learning from that mistake.
He did win a little bit, but he also had some lean years as well.
He did. I'm gonna say warm. I think he will have 2 years, Alex. Brant?
cold. No, I mean he just got Burrow last year, and then Burrow got hurt. Like, there's no way they're gonna axe him after this year. No, he's cold.
I'm pretty sure we all can agree. The Cleveland Browns head coach, Stefanski, right? Stefanski,
Yep. Coach of the year. He ain't going nowhere. He's cold.
very comfortable. He's
Well,
cold.
I mean, he got a playoff win, so he's an iceberg. He could probably be there for 20 years and have a losing record every year after this. We got a playoff win. The Browns fans are just so ecstatic. I mean, they're going to keep him there, as long as he wants to stay, probably.
They'll probably build a statue for him.
100%. Yep, we won the Super Bowl, winning a playoff game.
Now, this one's interesting. This one, I feel like he's living on 9 lives. John Harbaugh. Hot or cold? Brant.
Oof. I would lukewarm maybe. Like, I don't see him being any danger, but they've wasted a few years of Lamar Jackson. They've got to make some changes.
The pan is on fire. Will be his last year if he does not get deep into the playoffs at least. Alex?
Listen, I live here in Maryland, and I listen to Baltimore Sports Talk. They love him here. He's not going anywhere. They're gonna get rid of why am I forgetting the offensive coordinator's name after this year if they don't have a playoff run?
The guy from the Niners?
Oh, jeez.
Chad Gailey?
No. I'll look it up. Go ahead, Ryan. You give your take, and then I'll
Greg Roman.
Greg Roman. There you go. Yeah.
Greg Roman.
The guy doesn't know how to institute any pass offense, which is why they haven't improved at all. You just in the playoffs, defenses get better. You stop the run more. That's why the Ravens struggle in the playoffs. It's a proven formula. So yeah.
Ryan.
It should be hot, but it's cold in my opinion.
I agree. Let's go to the AFC South. Indianapolis Colts. Frank Reich. Ryan, hot or cold?
Cold.
Alex.
Cold.
Brant.
Cold.
I'm going to say cold as well. I'm going to say cold as well. Let's go. Okay, I'm not doing the Jaguars. Obviously, Urban Meyer's first year. We're going to see how it does in 2021, even though Alex thinks that he's the greatest coach of all time. Just kidding.
You're such a liar. I think that's maybe top 10 worst hires in NFL history. Maybe we'll find out.
Another topic for another day.
Yep.
Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel, Brant, hot or cold, or warm?
Ooh, I'd probably go a little warm. I think that they've underachieved a little bit when it comes to the playoffs. Like they could have done better. They haven't utilized Derrick Henry well, and so I think because of their utilization of Derrick Henry, there's times when they don't feed him and they force the ball.
Wait a minute.
He means in the playoffs.
Over 2,000 yards,
right? Brant, you mean in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay.
They try to go too hard with Ryan Tannehill and don't run the ball enough. Like the game plan worries me sometimes.
Yeah, he tries to be too smart.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Don't do the simple thing.
I'm gonna say cold, just because he's changed that whole franchise around the last two or 3 years, and being able to get Ryan Tannehill and make him pretty much, what would you guys say, like a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, or
I think he's on serviceable. I think he's on the fringe Pro Bowl. He could. I wouldn't be surprised at all this year if he made the Pro Bowl. I mean, he's improved every year in that system.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna say cold.
Yeah, I mean, cold. I mean, Illuminati and everything. The only successful Bill Belichick, protege. I think that, Illuminati's going to keep him in. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, listen, he earned it, right? He deserves to stay there. I would say it's cold. He's been in the playoffs 3 years in a row now. I think they upset the Ravens when they were the number 1 seed year before last, right? And they lost to the Ravens this year. So, they're 1-1 with the Ravens, which is a good organization, historically. So, as long as he keeps getting in the playoffs, I think he's going to stay there.
Good. Ryan?
Cold. He's not going anywhere. He's comfy.
I agree. Obviously, Houston Texans got a new head coach, so we're not going to really talk about him.
Oh, he's on the hot seat, though. Let's not pretend like he's not an intermediate hire.
I think
get out of their issues.
I think he's a hot fill. I
think he's a Freddie Kitchens.
He's keeping the seat warm for 1 year for the actual head coach.
Kitchens.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, he coached higher than high school, so he's not. He's not Freddie Kitchens.
That's one of the worst hires of all time.
All time. That's number 1, top 10.
AFC East. Let's go with. We're not going to go with the Jets, obviously, because Robert Slay's first year. Let's go with the Miami Dolphins and Brian Flores. Absolutely, extremely cold. Nowhere he's going anywhere. Alex?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to probably be the second most successful Dolphins head coach by the time he's done there. I really like him. I like the culture. You want to talk about turning around a dying franchise after Gase left them in shambles. I mean, he's done it. And in short order, they're a playoff contender. I think Tua is going to maybe turn it around this year. I'm hopeful. How about that? Hopeful that he turns it around. I like what he's doing there. I like his picks. I really like him a lot. I think he's a really good head coach. So I'm going to say cold.
Ryan?
Cold. I got cold on this whole division. Everybody's staying put.
Well, thanks for getting up.
Bill ain't going nowhere.
Appreciate it. And Brant, did you stay cold?
Flores cold, Tua the hottest.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised somehow Miami figures a way to
Tua sucks.
Quarterback.
Tua's got it this year. It's not Flores. It's definitely Tua, though.
We're not going to talk about the Patriots, obviously, because Bill Belichick is pretty much.
They chose Belichick over Brady. He's not going.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's more secure than Andy Reid.
Yeah, I'm with Ryan. Everything's cold in the AFC East, especially Scott. What's his last name? McDermott, Buffalo Bills head coach, who I actually like a lot. So
agreed.
That's another culture changer right there. Turning around a complete organization. I like him a lot. Really good head coach.
Yeah, especially at the EJ Manuel pick. They chose the right one with Josh Allen. NFC West, guys, let's get to the Rams. Sean McVay, extremely cold after what he did last year. I don't see him going anywhere because all of us and nationwide media had the Rams finishing dead last or third place at best. with the NFC West. He improved. Yeah, I helped out a little bit with the San Francisco defense, literally being injured everywhere across the position-wise for the defensive side. But he took those opportunities and turned them into W's. And he got a playoff win against the Seattle Seahawks, their rival. He's extremely cold. Alex?
I'm going to say warm, only for the reason that they just got the supposed savior at quarterback, right? If they're not successful this year somehow, right, he could be on that. Maybe not this year, but I would say the seat is heating up.
Yeah, okay. Ryan?
Cold. They got a better quarterback. They're going to be better this year.
Brant?
Damn, that's like 3 times tonight you've called me Alex. I should have worn a hat.
It's an upgrade. It's an upgrade for you, man.
There's hair. There's hair, I promise.
He's trying to improve your looks. It's crazy, man.
I'm going ice cold. McVay is one of the brightest young minds in coaching in the NFL. Now, the GM has done a horrible job of managing the cap and the salary and those contracts. So I think that, Snead is a better shot to go out than McVay. I wish we would have kept in Washington. I love Rivera, but McVay is the brightest young mind in the NFL.
I agree. Let's get to the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, it's going to be cold. I don't see Kyle Shanahan leaving at all whatsoever. No? Okay, cool. All right, now let's get into the 2 interesting ones. I like these 2 a lot. Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll. He's been there since 2008. Is it time to be warm or hot? Do not give me cold. There's no way he's cold. Brant?
I say hot. There's been a lot of underachieving the last few years. There's a lot of upsetness coming from the camp of Russell Wilson. And if I'm the owner, I'm going to back up my, early 30s quarterback over my aging head coach.
The oldest head coach in the NFL. Ryan?
Yeah, it's got to be hot. I mean, I know you look at the numbers; they went 12-4 last year, but the reality is that the culture seems to be changing there, in a place that had really good culture, and that starts from the top. I think that he's starting to feel a little bit as well.
Alex?
He's wearing assless chaps because his pants are burnt to the crisp on the back end, dude. Listen, I honestly think he should have been fired. I think he should have been fired last year, and I know it's crazy to say because they went 12-4, but they really backed into the playoffs. And if you remember, Marty Schottenheimer went 14-2, was it, and got fired? So, I mean, listen. Right. I'm sorry, man. But, it's been a decade. Let's be realistic here. So, yeah, I mean, I think he should have been fired. I honestly think he's what's holding them back there. I don't understand how you're not protecting your most valuable asset, any franchise's most valuable asset, which is a franchise quarterback, which Russell Wilson is in every – I think we can all agree. If you take your best situation as far as person-wise, athletic skill, talent, leadership, that's Russell Wilson. No matter what you want to talk about talent, everybody else, yeah, Patrick Mahomes might be the most talented, but I don't know if he's on Russell Wilson's level leadership-wise and character-wise and everything. We just don't know enough about him, right? Everything you hear about Russell Wilson, one of the greatest human beings ever, it seems like, right? Everybody speaks glowingly of him. I think he's the type of franchise quarterback you want and you dream of. And so how do you not make this guy happy? You haven't been, right?
I still think that there's something going on with I think you guys all could agree. I can't wait to talk about the teams headed to 2021. It seemed like there's something going on with Russell internally because that offense still was not clicking. That has nothing to do with the offensive line. He was missing throws and all. I could talk about the Seahawks for a while. Right now, Pete Carroll is extremely hot. It's got to be hot, guys. Change of culture needs to happen sooner than later. And will it come? I don't know. But for me personally, Alex, who said it? I think it was Brant. Brant said it. They missed a couple of opportunities, Alex and Ryan, where the Seahawks should have won another ring. And the fact that they didn't win that second ring against the New England Patriots has pretty much daunted this franchise since 2014. They have not been able to get past the divisional round since 2014. That has to be a concern for this culture and this franchise. And I think Pete Carroll really screwed himself in making that call. If that was him that made that call at the goal line with the Malcolm Butler interception. Absolutely. I think still to this day, the greatest defensive play I've ever seen in my life in the Super Bowl. Extremely hot. Let's get into it. Cliff Kingsbury, Arizona head coach. Brant, hot or cold?
Ooh, not as hot as Pete Carroll. I think he's right there, though. I mean, he was 13, 18, and 1, 35 and 40 in college. I mean, he's just average, right? You brought him in to run this air raid offense, and it's not really working. Kyler Murray's been great. I mean, he's obviously been a top 5 fantasy quarterback while he's been in the league, so you can't look at him. When I'm looking at the running game last year, though, like, where did Kenyon Drake go? 2 years ago, he was great. He was a great running back, and then they go to Chase Edmonds, who's been the backup there for a few years. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So I'm thinking he's pretty hot, but not quite as hot as Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I disagree. I think he's extremely hot. They brought him in. They got rid of Josh Rosen. They got Kyle Murray, the guy that he wanted, and it was all macaroni and cheese. And ever since then, Alex and Ryan and Brant, where's the postseason experience? Where's the postseason resume? When is Kyle Murray going to become that quarterback that can lead this team to the postseason? They got him DeAndre Hopkins. They got him. They got Christian Kirk. They have Larry Fitzgerald in the slot. They got Kenyon Drake. The offensive line didn't show up. Kyle Murray was inconsistent in the second half of the season. If you look at his numbers, the averages were not there for him the second half of the season, fantasy and reality. He was not be able to hit his passes at all whatsoever. Extremely hot for Cliff Kingsbury. I don't think this experiment is working out for Arizona. Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say warm, but I think you guys have really convinced me that he's hot. I just am looking at Kyler Murray's success, not really the Arizona Cardinals as a whole success. I think he's going to turn it around this year because I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to have a winning record. So I think he's going to get another year. But I definitely think if it's not on fire, it's heating up to that point.
Ryan?
Very, very, very hot. His saving grace is that he has Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray's making these astounding plays. And 2, that he's in a market like Arizona, because Arizona seems to forget really easy. They started 5-2 this last year, which is good, and then they lose 6 of 9, and they go 8-8, which feels respectable, but they were atrocious at the end. Their defense was bad, the offense wasn't clicking, and they signed Hopkins. Now this year they got Watt. They're bringing people on. If you can't win with these guys, you shouldn't be there. I think it's very hot.
And they're getting Chandler Jones back this year as well. Guys, let's go to the NFC South. I think the most safest coach, the most coldest coach in all of NFL is Tampa Bay head coach Bruce Arians. He's obviously not going to be going anywhere after this year unless he wants to retire. But until then, I think we all can agree that he's cold. Sean Payton, New Orleans Saints. Alex, hot or cold? Let's make it real quick, bud.
Warm.
Warm? Okay, Ryan?
Warm.
Brant?
Cold.
Yeah, I'm with Brant. Cold. Let's go with the Carolina Panthers, Matt Rule. Alex?
Cold.
And that's 4. Yep, let's go to NFC North. Chicago Bears. Let's go Matt Nagy. Alex.
Did we skip Tampa Bay? Did we talk about Tampa Bay?
We didn't talk about Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta. I'm sorry. My bad. Atlanta. It's a rookie head coach, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go. Chicago Bears.
On fire. He's probably the one that should have been fired 100% this year. Like, not even a question. There should be no that quarterback situation. I don't know what they're thinking there. I know that's not all on him, but he's got to have some input as the head coach. So he's telling them who they want. I mean, I know they tried to work a deal before all this stuff blew up with Deshaun Watson.
They did try.
They got Andy Dalton. I mean, they're losing again this year, and there's no quarterbacks to draft next year. The kid out of Oklahoma looks promising, but you don't have enough tape on him to really give you the warm and fuzzy that he's going to be better than any of the top 5 even that we got coming out this year. So, I mean, and they're not in a position. They did well enough to be out of the sweepstakes for a quarterback this year. So they're going to have to mortgage the future if they want a quarterback this year. They're in a bad situation, cap-wise, team-wise, culture-wise. He should have been fired.
Yeah, I think more than anybody that should have been fired was Ryan Pace, the GM. Just horrendous moves, drafting, and his best move was trading Khalil Mack, and it really hasn't really panned out. They did go to a postseason, but they lost in that doinker against the Philadelphia Eagles. But yeah, it's extremely hot for me, Brant.
Extremely hot. He's the Adam Gase of 2021 for me. Like he's got to go.
Ryan,
Hot.
Detroit Lions got a new head coach, so we're going to leave the Detroit Lions alone. Green Bay Packers, I think it's safe to say that we all agree that he is extremely cold. Is there anyone that disagrees with that?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Okay. And then here's an interesting one. Minnesota Vikings. Brant Zimmer's had contract extension. He's had chances to duplicate what he did a couple years ago until he got shellacked against the Philadelphia Eagles in the championship game. They haven't gone back yet. Hot or cold?
He should be hot, but he's cold. I don't think they're not going to move on from him.
Dead on. I fully agree. Should be hot, but is cold.
Alex?
Clean sweep. I agree 100%.
I agree as well. I don't see him going anywhere. Let's get to the NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles have a new head coach, so we're going to leave him alone, as always. Let's talk about the Washington football team and Ron Rivera. I think he's extremely cold. Got to the playoffs, fought cancer. I'm pretty sure he's good, right, guys?
The coldest in the division, yeah.
That's fair. New York Giants. Judge. Is he hot or cold, Ryan?
I got hot. He's hot.
Brant?
I'd agree. Like definitely that warm, more leaning towards hot, just because I think Daniel Jones is going to bust again this year. He's going to be Danny Dimeless, and I think it's going to reflect badly on Judge.
I just want to say I've been on the record about 4 or 5 years ago. If I could find the podcast, I would love to air it. When I was doing this like 5 years ago, I said that the New York Giants haven't been good since they got rid of old boy. And I just can't Coughlin.
Tom Coughlin.
Coughlin.
They have not been good since Tom Coughlin has left. I just want to put that out there, head coaching wise. For me, because don't bring up Brian McAdoo in that postseason. They should never have been there in the wild card. It was evident against the Green Bay Packers. Extremely hot, Alex.
Yeah, hot, 100%. I don't know about extremely hot, but yeah, sure. He's going to get fired this year, so extremely hot. He's
I don't know about hot.
Flame. He's bursting into flames. How about that? He's getting fired this year because they're not making the playoffs. They're not making the playoffs. It's the hire wasn't good to begin with. Not enough experience. But he did have more experience than Eddie George. So that's something.
Oh my God.
You mean Eddie James?
Eddie James. Eddie James. That's the guy I looked up. That's who I was.
Last one, guys. Dallas Cowboys, Krispy Kreme. Alex, hot or cold?
Listen, this mother effer better burst into flames. Like he was a terrible. I told you he was a terrible hire.
You did.
To begin with.
You did.
He was the reason that they were unsuccessful in Green Bay. It was never Aaron Rodgers. I enjoyed the fact that they weren't as successful as they should have been because Aaron Rodgers is a prima donna. That's another topic. I respect the man's game. I just don't like the way he goes about carrying himself, right? So, yeah, McCarthy, if anybody's he's the sun. He should be like a billion Kelvin or whatever you want to call it, right? He is so hot that he's spontaneously combusting. At least he should be. Jerry Jones will probably keep for 10 more years, which for Brian, he's going to cry about it a lot, but he should.
God, I hope so.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the words you're using tonight, Alex.
Yeah,
hook off phonics is really working.
Hey,
Brian,
listen,
go ahead.
I was studying for my SATs earlier, so got to get them words in.
Ryan.
He's hot. He's warm to hot. He's still fresh in that seat. But it's warm for sure.
Man, he's as hot as the people he brought up in Green Bay in his office to have some massages during practice. He's definitely hot. Brant?
He should be hot, but he's more lukewarm. He's more lukewarm. He's not going anywhere. He'll be there at least 2 more years.
Wow. All right, let's get into it, guys. Third down. We're gonna get into let me get to our mock. Sorry.
I can definitely tell y'all missed me when I was gone for those 11 picks in the middle. Like y'all needed some guidance.
Oh man, here we go, dude. Listen,
I was not here to provide it to you.
When you relook at this draft, I mean, I don't know. We might get Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson right. I don't know about the rest.
Yeah, Mac Jones at 3. There's gonna be 5 quarterbacks off within the first 15 picks for sure.
All right, looking back at our draft right now, we're looking at and we see Trevor Lawrence was first, Zach Wilson was second, Justin Fields was third. Off the bat, does anybody see anything that you see could change from those top 3?
I mean, San Fran. We discussed
San
it.
Francisco.
I mean, now they're connected to Lance and Mac Jones and Bobby Hurley and
Bobby Hurley.
They're connected to everybody in the draft. They're drafting everybody at 3.
Stupid.
I just any name, right? Tom, Dick, and Harry from down the street. They're literally connected to every player in the draft now. Every quarterback, right? So could it be a smokescreen? Who knows? Could they maybe be trying to trade out of it? They realize they don't want a quarterback in that. Who knows? I don't know.
So with everything being said and everything looked at, and we're looking at this draft, Ryan, I want your opinion. What player can we see besides quarterback? I want to throw quarterbacks to the side. What player can we see have the biggest drop off, in your opinion?
As in drop down in the draft, who gets who falls?
Like Aaron Rodgers drop off.
Okay. You know what? And I don't believe in it because not the talent, but I think it's gonna be Michael Parsons. I think just linebackers just gonna fall and fall and fall, and it's just gonna be the narrative of an offensive draft because it starts to go that way. There's always trends in the NFL, and you'll see it in the draft. If you go back and look at previous drafts, it doesn't ever go offense, defense, offense, defense. You'll get runs. You get the offense, and the next 5 will go, and then a defense player will go, and then they get runs. So with that being said, since Micah is pretty high on our list, I could genuinely see he'll be in the first round for sure, but I see him falling maybe even below the 15th pick.
You're literally. I'm looking at it, man. I'm looking at mock drafts. I'm looking at things like that. He's dropping. He is dropping because, like you said, linebackers is just not a thing in this draft right now. But I just don't see him dropping below 12 or 13. I just can't see it. For me personally, I'm just going to talk about for me. Devontae Smith, to me, I feel like can have a huge drop off when it comes to the receivers. I mean, we're talking about a guy that was practically a top 10 pick coming out of college. In college, everyone kept talking about him, how he is. But the durability looks like it's just a big issue for most of these teams. It seems like that's the reoccurring occurrence when they talk about Devontae Smith and his draft stock. Can he go in the middle? Can his body withstand so many hits as playing a slot receiver? For me, it's got to be Devontae Smith. Alex, talk to me. Who's going to have the drop?
I mean, who do I think is going to drop or who has potential to drop?
I don't care.
Because I think if Fields doesn't go for the 49ers, he's not going to Atlanta. I think Atlanta's going to stay put with what they think. They have their plan in place, right? I think they're going to take a wide receiver tight end here, or they're going to trade out of it. The Bengals are not going to take a quarterback, obviously. So that puts the Dolphins in a tough situation because do we think Fields is better than Tua? I think we do. Also, they need a left tackle. So it could be a tough situation because if he doesn't go there, are the Lions going to take him? They got all that money tied up in old boy from the Rams, right?
Probably Broncos.
Right? Panthers? No, yeah, Broncos. So, I mean, he could go from being the 3rd pick where he really should be the number 2 pick all the way to 9. I mean, that's a big drop. I know it's not, Aaron Rodgers type, into the 20s, But when you're projected as number 2 for years, and then you could ended up at number 9, that's tough. Ryan, I get it. You're a Dolphins fan, man. I understand it, but you can't be impressed with
Now this
Fitzmagic as your savior all year last year.
Now this is interesting. Slater has also been seeing some droppage in his stock as well. It's kind of crazy to me, as we also seen it with other offensive linemen in the past. Brant, where do you see Slater dropping? Can he drop outside the top 15? And then what corner do you think will go first?
I can definitely see Slater dropping down to past 15. I've seen Darrisaw rising up a little bit. Elijah Vera Tucker has that, different positions that he can play at. I could definitely see that. Cornerback, if I'm choosing, I'm going Patrick Surtain first. I just like the way he plays. The biggest dropper for me, though, is going to be Caleb Farley. With that back injury, there's a good chance he drops out of the first round altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And I had him coming in as up there with J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain as, sort of 1A, 1B, 1C in terms of best cornerbacks coming out this year.
Oh, okay.
I like J.C. Horn, by the way. I think he should be the first one taken, but I think Surtain will be the first one taken.
So out of the top 10 picks that Game Winning Drive mock draft has done, from the Jags to the Cowboys, Ryan, who has the biggest potential of being the bust without quarterback?
This is going to be an unpopular opinion, and I'm only speaking in the first year. There's going to be big disappointment, and it's going to be Kyle Pitts. And I'm speaking from a historic standpoint that tight ends, when they come to the league, they don't do much. Mike Ditka holds the record for the most yards as a rookie. Now, that goes back to 61. Jeremy Shockey in 2002 is, they just don't – I don't know what the process is. I don't know why. Now, I know Kyle Pitts is a different animal. He's not your traditional tight end. He can light up in the slot. He can even play wide receiver. But – I gotta go. The numbers don't lie. I think that Kyle Pitts in his first year he's going to be a disappointment. He's going to go on fantasy draft boards really high, but he's going to be super pumped on him, and he might finish outside the top 8, in my opinion, in tight ends, and that's not good.
Yep.
Brant,
Zach Wilson. The Jets are terrible. They're
no
still
quarterbacks.
Oh, you said come on. You said biggest.
No, he said no
quarterback, bro.
No quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks really out of 7 picks, you get 7 choices.
But I agree.
Yeah, Zach Wilson's my ultimate.
I agree with you too.
Overall. But if I'm looking at this, I'm probably looking at Jalen Waddle.
Damn you!
Just because he's now got Goff throwing to him, and he's coming off an injury. I like Jalen Waddle a lot. I just don't like Goff, and we'll have to see how that offense goes.
Yeah, for me, the system-wise, and if he goes to the Lions, according to our draft, I got to go Waddle as well. I think Kyle Pitts will shine in Atlanta with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has a good tendency with tight ends. He has a good chemistry with them when they come in. I mean, Hayden Hurst didn't have that bad of a year last year. Austin Hooper got paid by the Browns idiotically because of Matt Ryan and his system. Just face the facts. It is what it is. Austin Hooper got overpaid. And Alex will admit to that. And so with that being said,
I said it when we signed him. Yeah, I knew it.
So that being said, I'm going to go Waddle just because of the system, Alex. Just because I don't trust Goff. I don't like Goff's game. There's a reason why he got shifted out from LA to Detroit, and I don't like the surrounding company he has with him.
Right.
Who's going to take away coverages from Waddle? I mean, you got TJ Hawk, but TJ Hawk has been a bust. I mean, he really hasn't been that good. Amendola. They don't have much of Amendola. They don't have much of that running game. So I mean, I got to go Waddle here. Alex?
I'm going to go Surtain. I think there's not a lot of talent there on the defense for the Cowboys in general. As a whole, the unit is not that talented, and they're going to put him in a lot of one-on-one situations, and I just think he's going to get beat. And I don't think, they haven't been very successful with Alabama cornerbacks in general. So I just think he, out of the top 10, right, if you held a gun to my head, Cowboys. ascertain.
All right, gentlemen. Last question. Of the picks that we have made, I'm going to start with 20. 20 to 32. Which one has the most value of the guys that we have picked in our draft? You guys see it all? Mac Jones, Jason Owa,
Who was
Tevin Morin.
32? That's all I care about.
32 was Asante Samuel to the Buccaneers.
Okay.
So, Brant, which player here is the greatest value for that team that was able to pick him up?
Well, if somehow, and I'm going to backtrack, if somehow Mac Jones falls to 20, that's obviously going to be great value because, there's no reason any of these top 5 quarterbacks should drop that far. But looking at this list, I'm looking at Caleb Farley just because I do think he's up there with J.C. Horn and Surtain with skills, but that back injury is going to make him drop. So that'd be who I'd pick.
Alex.
I'm going to go with Nick Bolton. The reason is Nick Bolton was projected top 20, top 18 in the very beginning of all this draft madness, right? When they first started looking at tape and everything. So to get him at 31, I mean, when you're getting a top 20 talent at the end of the first round, I mean, that's really good value, I feel like. And it's a strong need for the Chiefs, even though they'd much rather have a tackle here. There's not a tackle that fits in this spot for them. And so they're getting really good value at the linebacker position because there's so many quarterbacks being taken, which is throwing talent further into the first round. I don't know how many drafts we've had where there have been 5 quarterbacks that are going to be taken probably in the top 15. I'd venture to say not very many. I don't have the research in front of me. I didn't do that research. But so that's really dropped a lot of talent that should be a top 10 talent, top 15 talent into the 20s, into the 30s. So I think it's a huge value for them and a very big need.
I agree. For me, man, I'm looking at number 22, Titans. I think I'm probably the best safety in the draft. A safety that I think in Trevon Moehrig that should be in at least 10 to 15 in where I'm looking at as talent-wise. But if the Titans are able to – and Mike Vrabel and the Titans are able to get this type of player – on their defense, it's only going to make them even more, just more legendary in the AFC South against a tough team. Which let's call it it's a 2-legged race between them and the Indianapolis Colts to get that division title. I don't see the Jags making that move, even though I like our pick with him with Rashad Bateman. It's a great pick. It's a good fit for him. I just don't think the Jags are gonna. I just don't think the Jags are gonna be ready enough to be able to take that step over. It's the Titans and the Colts. I think this is a great pick for the defense. Ryan?
For me, it's Jalen Phillips. This is a guy that, in my opinion, he could be a top 15 kind of guy. If he were to fall to the Packers that need an edge rusher right now, I think that he would be a big deal over there.
Good deal, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be our show tonight. Really good information. Got some fantasy talk finally in, thank God, because we're pretty much fantasy sluts over here. So with that being said, next week, let's recap. Next week is our draft week, right, Alex? We are going to be on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. My boys will be with me on Wednesday night on Game Winning Drive. We are going to be doing part of the mock draft with the Sports Box crew. And get ready for Thursday night, man. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Brant, final words.
I'm actually excited. Next week, during draft week, I'm actually going to be up near Virginia Beach, and me and Ryan are going to go hang out and have a couple drinks. So it's going to be a nice celebrate my 10-year anniversary, and I'm excited to go grab some drinks with Ryan.
All right, just make sure you don't drop the soap. Ryan.
Yeah. It's half the fun.
Ryan. Final words.
Yeah, man. Next week, my good friend Brant is coming out to Virginia Beach. No, I'm excited. You know what? Hey, Padres need to turn around. My final thought is the Padres need to figure it out. Denelson Lamet looks like he might be getting TJ, and it's been a rough week of Padre baseball. And they need to turn it back around.
Is rough, bro. Jace Tingler is struggling with his decision making right now.
Padres 1-5 in the last 6. Alex.
Yeah, I mean, Padres absolutely need to turn it around. I mean, this is the most money you guys have spent in franchise history, like in total. Your whole franchise in 1 year, you spent more than you spent in the past 80 years of your franchise. No, I'm kidding.
Right,
but
we get it.
I'm being serious. Like, obviously, that's my second team because I spent so long in San Diego, so I want them to be good. You know,
Who's your first
it's
team?
exciting. Indians, obviously, Cleveland. Like, it's a no-brainer. And, you know, they almost lost that status when we traded Lindor, but that's a whole nother topic. Listen, everybody, I mean, I knew it was coming, right? Because we're a prototypically cheap franchise. We don't normally pay our players. We grow them, and then we get 5 years out of them, and then we ship them to the Yankees or whatever. So everybody have a good week. Wear your mask. Stay vaccinated. Stay safe. Listen, I would be remiss if I don't mention the three of us, a friend of ours, Taz Thomas, who was in an absolute horrific softball accident. He collided with another friend of ours. He ended up fracturing his skull. He's got a pretty gnarly scar on his head. So we're very thankful he is doing well. He's home. You know, prognosis is looking good, but it's a very scary thing. You know, the fact that we all played softball, or we all do play softball, and to see something like that, I never thought I would see. You know, you hear about people getting hit by balls and stuff like that and dying and whatever, but never a collision like that.
No.
I didn't know until like the day after it happened, and so it just was crazy, man. You know, so thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. You know, and we're thinking about you, Taz.
Yeah. Definitely, man. We're definitely thinking about Taz. Ryan, don't leave after I end the show. And with that being said, I also would be remiss. Me and Alex, beginning of last year, or was it last year? I forgot what it was, Alex. No, it was last year. The whole George Floyd incident. We talked about social justice and you know, BLM and all this stuff, and Colin Kaepernick and all that. I would be remiss of not talking about it. We need to talk about it. And I feel like social justice was the stepping stone yesterday in the decision they made. I don't know about my other co-hosts what we feel about that, but for me personally, as a person who has seen injustice with a lot of my friends personally, that are of a different race, it's good to see that a lot of them were happy in the decision when it came to our justice system. I hope things get improved. I hope we go out there and we just be fighting for unity and fighting for equality, because that's what I'm all about. That's I know all of these guys are about. So I know I'm happy to see that, you know, some steps were made. We still have a long way to go. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you all four of you guys, all three of you coming on tonight. And check us out next week. Sports Box going to be a whole week of draft, and we'll catch you guys next week. If I can find the thing. All right, there it is. There we go.
Thank you for watching this episode of Game Winning Drive on the Sports Box. Please remember to follow us on all of our social media outlets. On Facebook at SportsBox Show, Twitter at SportsBox Show, Instagram at The SportsBox Show. Find us on YouTube and join Outside the Box, our Facebook sports discussion group. The Sports Box is brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And also our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use promo code THEBOX at sign up for 10 free points. Thank you for joining us.